So here we are, Chicago. It's snowing. Got a flight in, I don't even know how many hours, to be honest. I don't know what time it is. Whatever time I'm filming this, and different time zone, it is going to be hours from now. I'm looking at snow. I live in Florida. This is not something I commonly do anymore. I used to live in New York, so it's nothing brand new to me or anything. But I wanted to talk about, just for a minute, the costs. Costs of creating comics. And I'm not talking about the art. I'm not talking about the printing, and I'm not talking about the editors. I'm not talking about the tables. I'm not talking about any of the normal stuff. I'm talking about the costs that no one ever talks about, where you have to make decisions. Perfect example. For the year that I'm having, it did not make sense to spend more in a hotel for another night at C2E2 if I could crash at an airport. Of course, when I made this decision, I didn't realize how sick I was going to be, and you guys can hear it in my voice, how sick I am. But this is a decision we sometimes have to make as creators. I went to C2E2, there was no money, because I only went as a pro. So you have to be cost effective. You have to start figuring out ways, man. And I see creators, you eat food you don't want to eat. You don't go out and have steak every night when you're on the road. No one's paying for it unless you got a publisher, and they're paying your meals. You're going to be doing McDonald's. You're going to be eating shit that's not good for you. You're going to, there's cost on relationships. And just like me right now, you're unhealthy. And you do all this because it's worth it. If you're a creator and you're taking it serious, this is your passion. And you're going to be in these moments. And it's not a bad thing, because you're doing everything you can to move forward. I know dudes who stay in their vans, who stay in their cars at shows to save the money, because those guys are trying to do it. And there's nothing wrong with the people who do it on the weekend, and the creators, and I'm not saying that. But I'm talking about the creators that are all in, the creators that are going into debt, the creators that have taken a chance on themselves, and you do this. And that's one of the costs of indie comics that no one talks about. And I wanted to take a minute, I wanted to tell you guys that you don't have to do this. This is obviously a decision I made for a cost cutting. Am I so poor that I couldn't afford a hotel? No, I could have afforded, but it just wouldn't have been a good look for the amount of money that I was gonna have for the year. You gotta weigh this. C2E2 became a huge expense for me as a creator because there was no money to be made. Every day I stayed here, every day I talked here, and despite it all, despite being sick, despite being in pain, despite probably having a fever, I can't even check it off in a box because I never had a thermometer to do it, but I'm pretty sure I had a fever. Despite all that, you make connections. You see your friends. You do things that move things forward. So for some people, it's like, wow, that's crazy. And for other creators, they're like, yeah, man, that's just the cost. We all been there, we all done it. And that's kind of the point, is that you got to be ready to sacrifice. And some creators don't get that. Some creators, and I was at a few panels today, and not today. That's been every 15 minutes.
Ride to the airport or to load passengers on the upper levels. Please use information kiosks and taxi centers for approved safe transport out of the airport.
Yeah, that woke me up a couple times today. So, and the birds have been keeping me company. But I mean, those are the sacrifices you make to be a creator, and that's it. You wind up sleeping in a hotel. You wind up eating bad food. You wind up doing anything you can to get to the next show because you understand the importance of it. And I don't think anyone ever really talks about that stuff. So I wanted to take a minute. I wanted to tell, especially the new creators, because I met a lot of new creators, and I'm hoping someone will watch this video. And some, like I was saying, I was at some panels, and you have brand new creators that are worried about their scripts getting optioned for television without writing the script. And it's like, dude, you need to write your shit. They're like, oh, what if my title's so good and my cover's so good? How do I negotiate a contract? You guys got to be ready for the new creators, especially. You got to be ready. You got to understand, this is all an uphill battle. This is all stuff that you're gonna have to do. You're gonna have to sacrifice. You're gonna lose relationships because, like, if you're a full-time creator and you're doing this, and this is something you're doing, there's gonna be constant sacrifices. And I mean, let me tell you, I know creators who work for the big two now, and to them it's still a sacrifice. They might get their tables, they might get comped, but no one's paying for their airfare. No one's giving them more time in life. They're sacrificing their weekends not to be with their family. You know, I want you to understand, for the new creators, and I'm not bitching, I'm paying these costs willingly. You're not going to see me bitch and cry about these costs because I understand their importance. What I'm saying, especially for the new creators I met, I wanted to take this minute and show you that sometimes this is not glamorous. This is not contracts. This is not Hollywood. And I'm not trying to discourage anyone. I'm just trying to wake everyone up to the realistic fact that sometimes you're in an airport at 2, 3, maybe 4 in the morning, Lord knows, looking out at the snow, waiting for your next flight home. And that is part of being a creator. Some of my friends are driving home right now, taking shifts, sleeping in cars with each other. I wish I could have done that. I wish I could have driven, you know, and that's just it. You got to be ready. You got to be willing and ready to sacrifice if you're going to go all in. For those who do this on the weekend and this is a hobby, obviously this is not something you do. But I mean, a lot of the guys I see, I mean, I know guys doing 20 shows this year. I don't even know how many I'm doing anymore because it seems like I keep getting added or asked to be a guest somewhere right now. And I don't like to say no to being a guest. And then you got to worry about your costs, and that's the whole reason. You know, if I stay at a hotel now, that affects the cost or the profit negative sheet. And you got to worry about producing more art. You know, there's no Kickstarters for you being on the road. I can't make a Kickstarter for me to be on the Comic-Con highway. Pay for my hotel rooms and pay for my food. I want to eat steak. That's the shit you guys got to be ready for, and you gotta be prepared for it. You gotta be prepared to understand how to cut corners. And you know, luckily I've been really lucky. This was a show that I wound up coming by a car because of things I couldn't control. I mean, not by car because of things I couldn't control. I'm not going to sit here, I'm not going to bitch, I'm not going to cry like a little girl. Not that there's anything wrong with being a little girl. I should change that vernacular that I use. I'm not going to cry like someone who's ungrateful. You know, I've had enough success that I'm proud, I'm hungry for more, and I'm willing to pay the price. Are you willing to pay the price?